All right, we're getting ready to count down right into the broadcast here. All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages. This is the scene presents our favorite petty crew. This is the dish. I am your host today, Germ So True. We are here today, man. We're gonna talk some baseball. We're gonna really dive into this thing and talk extensively about a couple of things moving forward as we got this media short, this COVID edition of shortened season. Again, I am your host, Germ So True, alongside all of my baseball guys from the dish scene. This is hey look, these are some of the most gifted baseball minds I've ever seen in my life. We talk about analytics, talk about understanding the sport, all of that good stuff. We're gonna just go ahead and dive into this thing. I ain't got no reason to hold y'all no longer than I need to. First, I'm gonna go pass it over here to my guy a little bit further up the road. We got my guy Josh Storm, category 5 himself. Storms, talk to the people.
What's going on, guys? So we're about halfway through this weird baseball season. 60 games. It's less than it's about a third, a little over a third of an average season. We've seen a lot of normal, and we've seen a lot of abnormal. A big part of that is, we have almost no preseason camps. There's a 3-week preseason, and you just get right into it. So there are a lot of your normally dominant type players struggling, and there are some other players you wouldn't think of that are having really good years. A lot of that, I think, is part of not being in the normal routine. And but it's cool. It's interesting because you get a nice look into the future for some of these teams in a season that, well, if you lose, doesn't really matter too much.
Right, got you. So that's my guy Storms. With that being said, I'm gonna go. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go to the other side. I'm gonna go to the other side of the nation real quick. Let me slide down over that way, down over to the LA area, but it's actually a little lower. He around that Arizona area. But my guy with the AZ shirt on right there, my guy, Mr. Tyrell Love, holler at the people, man.
What's going on, world? As my guy Germ So True eloquently put it, West Coast all day. So yes, born and raised in LA, but I reside in the desert. It's hot, really hot. But this MLB season has been hot, super fast. You catch it and you miss it, you blink, it's over. So 60 games, it's not enough, but at least we got it. So I'm happy that we have, America's pastime, available, but I'm ready to talk with my guys.
Hey, we ready to talk with you too, brother. I'm gonna slide. He's a Giants fan in football time. So I know it's hard. So we just look, I just root for this guy because this is my guy. So moving forward, hey man, this is my guy, Jorge. Jorge, man, talk to the people, man.
Going on, everybody? Like Ty just said, short season. Happy to see it. Happy to be here. Happy to talk about it. We're going to talk about a lot of young teams that are making strides in the short season. Surprises, some disappointments, and also some teams that are like in the mix. And let's see if they can get in with the 8 in the NL or AL in the playoffs. Let's see what happens.
Hey man, and real quick, just to address the comments real quick before I get to my guy. Ham, I don't know what to say to you right now. Anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pass it. He a little bit further up the road, different state. Hey man, my guy Artie, he covers every sport. I don't know what this kid does not know. I don't know which sport he does not be affiliated with. I don't know what he does not cover. Bro, how many jobs do you have? So, without further ado, Artie, holla at the people.
What's up, guys? Like Jerm said, I talk about everything, but tonight talk about baseball, and we're gonna hit this one out the park. So let's go.
Hey, and my guy Trav, shouts out to him in the comments. Some of the crew, we are here. Hey, Trav says so. We have a Brewers fan, a Reds fan, a sucky Mets fan, and a choke artist on the outfield live. I love my guys though with the 100 sign.
Trav, killing,
He's got time.
killing.
He's got time. He's got
Ouch!
time.
Ouch! He coming with the heat.
He's
So
got time.
with that being
You
so with
always
that
got
being
time.
said, hey, with this season, as we always talk about, it is so many things going on with this season. With it being a shortened season, as all of us alluded to at the beginning here, it's the most important part of every baseball team, in my humble opinion. And you guys will probably back me on this because it's fundamental. Is pitching. If you can't pitch, 9 out of 10 times it don't matter how good you hit because bats don't travel, defense does for whatever reason that is. So with that being said, we got a top 10 teams in the MLB that we're going to reveal throughout the show here today. And these top 10 teams, this is subjective to change, of course, because as I said, it's just at a certain point in the season. And we're just trying to orchestrate this thing and show you just the depth of what we're looking at when we're trying to talk about a good baseball team. And as notice, it's a good team, not just one thing. They don't just do these things well. We can highlight those things as well during the way. But for example, the Astros. The Astros are going to be some people like, hey, the Astros got to be a top 10 team. Well, we here at the Dish feel like they're not doing the best that they can in certain situations when it comes down to competing against 500 or better baseball teams. You can't win games against mediocre or less than competition and then be classified as a top 10 team. Now, some people say, well, maybe they play who's in front of them. Well, when they get to playing who's really in front of them, which is the ultimate issue, yeah, pun intended, it's going to be a problem. So they did not, unfortunately, make our top 10. So coming in at number 10, we got my hometown team, who probably has choked more than probably the LA Dodgers.
We gotta stop that.
Oops, that's it out loud. That's some bad energy there. Catch that frog. But at the end of the day, got the Cleveland Indians. Listen, this team is not hitting currently right now. And I think everybody on the panel will agree. The issue with the Indians not being higher on the list, even though they're one of the better pitching teams, especially with them being one of the better pitching teams, is it's the same thing that we've seen from previous years where they've had some of these pitching staffs where they've had these dominant pitcher or two maybe, and then they end up trading them away. But this year they got a new guy, and I'm gonna let you guys. What's his name again? His name is by the last. What's his
Shane
last name
Bieber.
again?
Shane Bieber.
Shane Bieber. See, look, Shane Bieber, for example. I am not familiar with this kid at all, considering he kind of just came out of nowhere this year, moving forward. But I think overall, the most beautiful part of this thing is that they have all of the capability for them to be able to swing the bats, get the bats going, and that will help them defensively. Now, here's my number one question I'm going to pose it to the panel here is if the Indians bats wake up, do you still feel they have enough pitching in order for them to make it interesting in the AL? Artie, I'm gonna start with you.
I'll take that one. Man, I'm thinking something like this. I mean, we've talked a lot about the Indians and the inconsistencies that the Indians face, and how sometimes they heat up in the middle of the season, but as soon as they play well in the later end of the season, but as soon as you get to the postseason, where do they go? So I think that's the problem with the Indians. But in my mind, the bats will come around. A shortened season, I think the bats will come around. But if let's say right now they're batting 28, their on base plus slugging is 28 too. But let's say they flip that and they get to 15th, they get to 14th, and like Jerm said, is the pitching gonna stay at second, which it's at right now? I actually think you have this weird thing with the Indians that no matter what happens, they're going to play the same baseball, because if they're going to regress in pitching and their batting is going to pick up. And I think that team is just going to be, that's a 500 club. That team is a 500 club. Now, if they catch heat and they can hit the ball and this pitching can last for another 2 months, that's a World Series team. That is a World Series. And that's the difference between, playing at that 500 level, making the playoffs, losing in that first round, or winning a World Series. I mean, they have the pieces to win the World Series. They also have the pieces to be a 500 team. They also play like a 500 team sometimes. So I'm going to say with the Indians, do I think the pitching holds up? Yes, I actually do think the pitching will hold up. I don't think it will be top 2, but I think it will stay in the top 10. And I also think that the batting will get into the top 10. Will it be enough for them to pass that hump and get into a World Series? Maybe not, but I think that they could surprise some people and get into a championship series. Got a lot of good teams in the AL, but that's just how I see it.
What about you, Jorge?
I don't think so. I don't see it. I don't trust anybody. I don't trust anybody behind Bieber in that starting rotation. I don't. Who are you gonna trust? Savali? Carrasco? You're gonna put them 2 and 3 in let's say if they make it to a series. But I think the way that the pitching may stay up is not with the starters, with their pen, making up that difference.
Well, we have them. So basically, guys, we have them ranked as the third best bullpen, and our top 3 for the best bullpens in the MLB. So they're being top 3 in the pen, and number 3 behind two very drastically interesting teams that we're going to talk about later. And as we get into the list, I think you said the pen is where they're good, and I agree because I believe Carrasco has overachieved, like a lot over the years. Like it's not that he's not an overpowering pitcher, right? He doesn't have more than really one good pitch. To be fair, he has like 1.5.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you add all of that to the equation. I think the mechanics are a little inconsistent with his pitching as well. I see a couple of little technical things I'm not really feeling about Carrasco. So Tyrell, just to get you in on this, and then to get Storm, and then we'll go back to the next team, number 9. Do you feel like after Bieber, do you feel like Carrasco is a good second pitcher? Do you feel like? Well, I mean, just give me some of your thoughts here on the Indians pitching staff.
So when it comes to their starting pitching rotation, it's young. What Carrasco brings is, of course, he has the veteran savvy. He's in his early 30s, but everybody on that rotation definitely is still in their 20s. So it's nice to have somebody who's a little bit maybe composed, maybe more experienced, but does he have the stuff? So you're looking at Shane Bieber. He has the stuff. He's killing it right now. So I like, where you have, the savvy veteran, but the problem with the Indians here is just that they're too young. I don't think, their rotation is ready. And I have to agree with Jorge on that. They rely on their bullpen too much. And then outside of, Bieber, who is your 2 guy? Who is your guy deep, when you get to the 3s, 4s, and that 5th man? And then that matters when it comes to, the postseason as well.
Yo, shouts out to all of the people in the comments, y'all. Shouts out to my guy Ron, my guy Trav, my guy Ham, A-Walk, Dennis King. Dennis King said he speaks on Clevenger. Said Clevenger's on his way back. I'm gonna be honest with you, then I'm gonna pass it to you, Storms, and let you elaborate a little further here. I'm not a believer in Clevenger. I think Clevenger is a bullpen pitcher. I think he should be in the pen. I don't want to see him pitch more than 2 or 3 innings. That's just me. I think after 9 outs, Clevenger is subjective to go out of the game. That's just my opinion. Storms, what you got for me, man?
I'm inclined to agree with that. I don't think that after that point, consistency just isn't there for me. And also to piggyback more off of what Ty said about it, it really is. It's about having the stuff, and to be a good second pitcher, a good second starter in the major leagues, you got to have 4 good pitches, if not 5.
Ooh, that's a good one.
And
That's my guy Storms.
He's got maybe 1.5. And I mean, yeah, that'll get you through a 60-game season, but it's not going to get you through October.
That's a really, really valid point right there. And I always say this as well. A fastball doesn't count to me. I think a fastball, it should be probably your second best pitch. You got to have a signature pitch, and then having a good fastball will come second. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but as a panel, how do you guys feel about that theory?
Yeah, I agree.
Agree. You can throw 101, but if they know the 101 is coming and you don't have a secondary pitch, what are you gonna do?
Case in point, a roll. It's just like hittable, not the 105-mile-an-hour fastball when he can throw it.
Yeah,
that's hard to catch up to, but hitters at this level can catch up to it. It's a 92 mile-an-hour slider that's hard to hit.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, and then that also speaks to what the issue was with Danny Salazar, who was also a part of that Cleveland rotation, or was. That was one of his issues. So hey, full circle conversation here. We got some people in the comments like Dennis. They say they believe Clevenger could be one of the main two guys and things of that nature. So let's see. I'm just not sold on him yet. I think he's still relatively young as well. I just don't see it. I think bullpen is perfect for him. I think he's a setup guy for a pretty solid closer. You know what I mean? The number 9 team on our list is the Cubs. Look, at the end of the day, shouts out to our guy Eddie Banks. Look, he was ready to fight us over this when we talked about them. Look, man, at the end of the day, they do some things very, very well. Get on base is something that they do pretty well. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. But there's a lot of inconsistencies with this lineup, with the rotation, and with a lot of things with their talent. Their talent is inconsistent. So moving forward, we're going to start here back with Storms, and then we're going to work our way back around. Storms, what are some things that you feel like the Cubs, why are they number 9, and what's separating them from being number 1?
What's keeping them out of number 1? How much time you got?
In 90 seconds.
The thing about the Cubs, for me, they're just not a top 5 team in anything. I mean, just across the board, overall. Anyway, I mean, you got Yu Darvish, who has not been incredible. He's not been Yu Darvish. The other thing about the Cubs, really, they're not hitting like they normally do. The consistency hasn't been there at the plate, and there's time to right that. They're obviously a very talented team, but you're not going to get too far if you can't hit the ball.
Got you. I can see that. I can understand all that. That's a very interesting point that you said they're not top 5 in anything. You just kind of feel like they're just one of those teams that they kind of just serve a purpose in the MLB because they're the Cubs and whatever right now. Is that fair?
Yeah, for the most part.
Yo, I love that. Look, it's just the category 5. So at the end of the day, we got a couple comments here. I want to address. My guy Jay Ham said Altuve and them gonna steal some of those secondary pitch signs. So basically, we just gonna keep on talking about this. Look, I don't want no parts of that. I don't want no parts of that.
Well, they can't steal anything right now because they ain't beating teams over 500.
Oh well, they can't steal a game. So basically, my guy Jorge said they can't steal a game right now.
Exactly.
All right, there you go. And then Dennis King said Bryant has been a bust. He came up with a lot of hype. And then he's also said that the bullpen for the Cubs can't be trusted. So, I mean.
I think the biggest thing with the Cubs, in my opinion, and I think that's actually the team I've watched the most this year, I think it's the inconsistency in their batting lineup in terms of where guys are hitting every day. You got Baez is hitting second one day, then he's hitting fourth the next day, then he's hitting first the next day. And it's like David Ross, and it's his first year managing the team. He has no idea in terms of how to build that lineup and where to put guys. And he's like, okay, I want this guy here. I want this guy here. Is okay, that didn't work out that game. Let's change it the very next game. Let's not give it time. So I think that's one thing that the Cubs are going to struggle with is that I don't know if the manager really believes in what he's doing. But as we'll talk about later, I think the only thing that they're excelling in at this moment is just the plate discipline and seeing pitches at this point, and not hitting them obviously, but getting some walks.
What I like to add is with the Cubs, because I already brought up a good point with plate discipline. One thing I think the Cubs need to figure out is how to get that pop in their bats back. Where are the home runs with the Cubs? They matter, and they do have some guys that have power on in their lineup. It's just a matter of where you put them. And right now, I think the Cubs, when it comes to home runs, they're at like a 35.
Yeah.
They could easily be, on a good season, good, if they really, were showing up to batting practice at least, they could be in the 40s. They belong there. So where's that pop, in their bats?
Yeah.
And if they bring that back, maybe, their offense could, bring in some more runs instead of leaving people stranded.
Yeah, that's a great point, because when I watched the Cubs earlier this year, I think it was the first game they played the Brewers, and I was just saying, when is the pitcher gonna get a rest? Like when is the pitcher for the Brewers? I think it was Brandon Woodruff. I said, when is he gonna get a rest? This lineup is just every single guy can hit, and they just haven't been hitting. So it's just
So it's kind of like that. And so basically, we have the same problem with the bottom two teams. They're not hitting.
Not hitting well.
yeah, 28th in batting for the Indians and 24th in batting for the Cubs.
That's not gonna get it done. Jorge, I want to get you in here, and I want to add this comment to a couple comments here.
Yeah.
Somebody actually enjoyed your points here. Shouts out to my guy Brian Bullock, my guy. Somebody said great points about the Cubs already, and then Dennis added that the Astros are top 3 teams in not striking out.
That's
So
a good
I
point.
mean, I think that's a great point, but the only problem is this: if you're not striking out, that means there's games that you're hitting, and then there's games that you're still leaving people on base, especially if you're losing. You can't be losing to teams that are over 500 and then say, well, I'm not striking out, if that makes sense.
And that's a good point. They're also top 3 and not beating 500 teams. So
Oh, well, okay. Well, that's some energy right there. Jorge, let me get Jorge in real quick, and I'm coming right back to you, Storm. Jorge, go ahead real quick.
Just wanted to touch about the Cubs, man. Their closer, Krimble, man, he's struggling, horrible. And that shout out to Eddie. I had to get that in. I had to tell him that. Well, one huge thing for them that's going a positive way, and let me touch on what Storms is saying. Yu Darvish this year, he's been pitching pretty well, man. He's 5-1, and he got a 1.7 ERA this year, and that's good. They need that. They need that in the starting rotation. Now, the problem is, who are they handing the ball off to after the starters out of the game? Now, without many runs, their bullpen's going to struggle.
That's some good information now. Storm, so go ahead and add your extras right there, bro.
Yeah. The one real big bright spot for the Cubs, and I forgot to add this for me, like already mentioned plate discipline. We'll get into this a little bit more detail later, but we had the Cubs third in on base percent. Well, they're actually fourth. The Phillies are third. The reason the Cubs got 3 for us over the Phillies is because of their plate discipline. They're 224 batting average with a 333 on base because they've got 115 walks and 990 plate appearances. You go and look at the Phillies, they're at 342 on base percentage, but they only have 90 walks in 891 plate appearances. That instantly did it for me. That's been the really big bright spot so far, if there is one for the Cubs, in my opinion.
I got you, and this is the thing, man. It's so hard to gauge teams that have great lineup balance and then they don't hit. Like it's almost like we got the whole goods to score 10 runs or 5 runs a game, but we're not doing it consistently because we're not focused and concentrating on pitch by pitch. I think some of it with the Cubs is really concentration. I think it's really we can't just think about one pitch. We got to think about one pitch at a time. And that's a hitting issue for I think a lot of these teams.
Yeah, but to touch on your point, pitching always beats hitting in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
If you get a man on third and no outs, what's it any good if you can't get him in?
0 means absolutely nothing. So our next team we're gonna go to. I'm gonna swing it to Artie actually for our next team. Next team we have is
We're in Atlanta now. That's Trav's team. So if Trav is still in the building, we got the Braves at 8. And I think the reason we have them at 8 is the Braves are actually the opposite of the teams we just mentioned. They're like they're top 15, top half of the league in everything. They're top 10 in a lot of they're top 10 in a lot of categories. Sixth in batting, I believe. And it's just the Rays have one of those lineups that we just said the Cubs have, but they're actually utilizing it in a good way. So with the Braves, I just think, I mean, this right here, yes, they're at 8 for us right now, but and they're the third best National League team that we have. But I do think that this is a World Series contending team, and that's how I feel. I don't know. I think Jorge might want to touch on that. I know he had a lot to say about the Braves yesterday. So,
Well, I like the Braves. I like the Braves lineup, man. Acuna and I can't think of his name off the top. Just excuse me.
Albies.
Yes, and Freeman. That's all you got to say. Them three. Just based off of that, they're easily gonna be a playoff team. I mean, that's a weak division. Let's be honest. I mean, they should honestly run away with the title, but their problem is their starters. Soroka went down. Hamels is out. I don't know how they're gonna make that up. I have no idea. That's their biggest issue right now, starting pitching. But with those three bats in that lineup, they can make up the run difference. They can.
So
those are good points, and like you said, the pitching right now overall, their staff is at 13th. But I think like you said, the Braves just seem to have this consistency about their team year in and year out. They can't get over the hump, but they seem to have this consistency about their team where they're doing everything the right way. It's just you have a team like the Dodgers that are in the way, or you have a team like Washington that's in the way, or somebody like that, just a special team that comes through every once in a while and takes the Braves out. I know Ty has seen, the Dodgers be that special team, but Ty, in terms of the Braves, do you think they can replicate that? You think they can make it to that next step this year?
Not this year. And it's sad to say that they are at risk of having the Marlins catch them. That's a possibility. And I can't believe that I'm saying that. I just said that the Miami Marlins may catch the Braves for the East crown. They come and go with Acuna a lot as far as if he's hot, and their bats, too much. They do have a good bullpen somewhat, but it could be better. And they're missing, that, key man as far as in their rotation, to really take it up a notch to compete with, the elite of the NL. So it could happen, but they need to make something big happen at the trade deadline. I like how, as a team at home, they're almost unbeatable. I think a 10-4 record. So it really doesn't matter because, the fans, are not there, but still having, that their ballpark in their stadium actually, support, those bats. It matters to them, obviously. So could they? Maybe, but watch out. Miami's on their tails.
hey, shout out to my guy Trav real quick. You got two segues right here for me to get this question in from Trav. He said basically, first thing I'm gonna say, he said is we need Smoltz, Glavin, and Maddox back. Wishful thinking.
Not
So
gonna happen.
add Chipper Jones, add Andrew Jones, add never mind. But listen, the point is, what y'all talking about the Braves. I think I like everything that you guys touched before I pass it to Storm. But real quick, this is something interesting that Artie kind of brought up, maybe kind of think about as he was talking. My question would be to you guys, and I'm gonna have Storm answer this first and get to his points about the Braves. Is would it be fair to say that the Braves are like that recipe when you tasted it and it's just like, what is this that's missing? Is it they're missing a certain type of bat? Are they missing a certain type of help in the bullpen? I mean, it always feels like the Braves is like missing something when it comes down to it. When it comes down to it mattering, it feels like they're always missing something.
Part of the game.
Yeah.
That's part of the game. So many pieces to the puzzle. One piece, it matters. So I will say this: Dansby Swanson. That's not the missing piece right there. I mean, he's a surprise. Don't know where he came from, but he's doing really well for him right now. I think he's hitting over 300, stealing bases. Could use a little bit more power, but he came out of nowhere. Nobody saw him. So
Storms, get you in real quick. What do you think about the comments, and also what do you think about the Braves in general?
I think you're right. The thing about the Braves are weird because at first glance they're good at everything. You don't, like you were saying, you don't know what you're missing. It's just something's not doing it. It could be one thing that could really help would be to add a little bit of speed in the outfield. Get somebody for the top of the order that can run, steal you, well, not in a 60-game season, but, 30, 40 bases. Somebody to create more early inning scoring, or not early inning, but more scoring opportunities early in the game, and somebody that can get on and give them chances to score with less than 2 outs.
Yeah, you want that firecracker in every lineup to where they can get on, get a single, get themselves to second, and you're automatically in scoring position. Yeah, I mean that's a good point. That would be helpful to them.
Right, and I think I agree with what Storms is saying, but I still think, as what I brought up earlier when we first started talking about the Braves, there's a special team. I mean, the American League, it's always hard to predict. It's always hard to predict who's going to come out of the American League. But it just seems as if in the National League, the team seems always destined just to make it. I know last year, me and Ty were on a live, and I told him, I said, man, I think if Washington gets there, and I think that they can, I think that they will give the Astros a really good run for their money. I think that Washington is just built to win. And for something with me, I just saw like Washington is destined to do this. It's always like that with the National League. And, then you have the Dodgers the 2 years before, and they're just a powerhouse. And then, you have the Cubs, which they were like, it was destined for that to happen. And it's like in the National League, I feel like there's always a team in the way, and the Braves are just runner-ups. They're like, hey, you're second best every year.
Here's something interesting. That's the same way that so the NL, like you just said, in baseball is equivalent to the Western Conference in basketball. It's always a team that's just destined to be in the finals based on them being in the Western Conference in the West in basketball. And it's the same thing in football in the NFC. It's always the team that comes in that gets the hottest, that has the best quarterback or the most consistent quarterback play. It's the same thing in all three sports if you think about it. So that's actually interesting that you brought that up as a point. Trav did ask this one question about the Marlins, and then we're gonna go to the next team. He said, basically, in so many words, he said, can the MLB handle the COVID-19 issue? Because they need to ban the damn Marlins.
I obviously we've talked about it a few times, and I don't think the MLB really cares to cancel the season in the regular season, and I don't think that they would in the postseason. The way they will handle it in the postseason, I mean, if it does happen, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, we talked about it yesterday. They can have a situation of you're still in the American League Division Series and you already have your National League champions crown, and it's all because of an outbreak. And do you put everything on hold? Do you come up with? I mean, they don't have it now. To our knowledge, we don't know what they're doing behind the scenes. But do you come up with a centralized location? I always thought to have, I don't know what the dimensions of the ballpark is, but I thought to have it in, nobody wants to be in Nebraska, but in Omaha, they have the College World Series. They have the College World Series in Omaha. So if that ballpark can fit the dimensions of an MLB field, which I think it does, can you have a bubble situation for maybe the last 4 or last 8? I know 16 teams go to the playoffs this year, so I don't know if we can do it like that. I mean, obviously they have it in the NBA, but with such a fast turnaround, but can you go with the last 4 or last 8 and just get into this bubble routine and finish it out? I mean, it remains to be seen, obviously, but that's a good question. I don't know, man.
Hey, Trav said to you, Ty, this is for you, Ty. Trav said, of course, Ty will say the Braves won't make the offs. So
I didn't say that. I did not say that. I threw shade, but I did not say that.
So, hey, look, shouts out to my guy, Leon Williams, who just popped on. He said, White Sox, please. So With this
Hey,
time frame, number 7.
number 7, we have the Chicago White Sox. Probably the biggest surprise in baseball. I mean, right on time for it. The White Sox are top 10 in everything, and maybe they'll work their way up the power rankings. The record isn't there yet to have the argument with them, but they're well on their way. The only thing I see with the problem with the White Sox, very young. You know, you can see inconsistencies with young players from time to time. They're very young, but that could also benefit them in a 60-game season. So I think White Sox, again, it's the same thing with the Braves. These teams from 8 down, these are true World Series contenders if they get hot at the right moment. And I just think, again, the White Sox top 10 in everything, a lot of young talent. Can they keep it together the whole season and pretty much half a season? I think they can. Um, that's my opinion. And you know, they hit a lot of home runs, they get on base, they slug, they do everything, they pitch everything. They're the best team in Chicago. Shout out to Eddie. And you know, that's where I see them. I don't know. I know Ty, he wanted to put them over the Braves, and that's something for Trav there. So I'll let Ty go next on the White Sox.
Man, so when you have as much power as they do, man, I wouldn't want to pitch against them. And then, you know, with them being so young, like you look at the emergence of Tim Anderson right now, like he's killing it. What can't he do? And I'm happy to see him succeed. With the White Sox, like if they made a move to like add to their pitching a little bit at the trade deadline, man, it's a wrap. And they could really take the AL Central, I think. Because that's something that, you know, the Twins have over them right now. And we'll see. But I like where they're at. I think, you know, they have it all as far as with their bats. Like, I think they have the best batting average in the league right now. I think we talked about that, guys, as well as, you know, 55 home runs. Like, that's ridiculous. Just right up there with, well, right below, I should say, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Cough. So anyway,
We don't care. We don't care about that. We do not care about that.
Oh, we
But-
care.
But yeah, I think they're first in the American League and second in the majors. If I'm correct, we'll have our research department look that one up.
Right.
Right. If I'm correct, we got that, and I'll kick it to Storms. I mean, obviously the White Sox again are the best team in Chicago, and I'm sure Storms agrees. And if you got anything to say about this young, hot, emerging team, go ahead.
I could piggyback a little off Ty again. Like he was saying, you wouldn't want to pitch. They're second in total bases, batting average, on base percentage, home runs in the major leagues. That's a scary lineup. They're pitching. I mean, you said they're top 10 and everything. Their pitching is probably bottom half of the top 10 overall.
Yeah, they're sixth overall in pitching. I mean, these numbers, as Josh is saying, these numbers, these rankings, they speak for themselves. This is just sounds like I mean, right now, I mean, we're gonna get into teams that we believe are better at this point, but this just sounds like a team that's just again young and destined to be one of the best teams in the major leagues for time to come, and maybe even run the American League for a little while and come out of this. I mean, they haven't spent a lot of money like the Yankees, but they might be able to run the American League. I know we got, you know, Jorge's not a Yankee fan, but he's out in New York. What do you think about that, running the American League, and how do you feel about the White Sox?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, they're the only team. Well, they're the only team on our list, I believe, that is top 6 in pitching, batting, and OPS in all 3 categories across the board. They have the most hits in baseball at 264, and they can beat you with power, or they can beat you with the small ball. You know, you pick your poison with them. Their lineup from 1 to 9 can beat you. They're gonna give the Yankees a run for their money for the next 5 years, I would say.
Yeah, again, those are all good points, and I just got now that is correct. They are first in the AL, but second in the major leagues in batting average, and I believe that's all we have to say about the White. Again, all these are self-explanatory. They're young, a good team. They can hit for power. They can get on base. They can steal bases. They can do everything. They play defense. They never stop playing. They have a team of guys that just want to win night in and night out. and that's what you got in Chicago for the White Sox. And I think we're gonna kick it down to 6 now, right? San Diego.
Absolutely. But before we say that, who we have at the actual slugging percentage, we actually have the White Sox listed as the number one team when it comes
Yeah.
down for home runs, which is very, very intriguing because when we think of home runs, right, that's that one swing that changes the game, right? The one swing that changes the entire complexion of a game. That's important when you get to playoff baseball because being able to swing the bat one time and be able to drive in 2 runs could be the difference of you winning a 2-0 game, a 1-0 game, or any of those things. Because as you know, one bad pitch can be the difference in the game. You know what I mean? So with that being said, I think this is important that you guys touched on all of those things because it just shows that number one, can we say that we've seen something similar to this for another team that's a little later on the list, like the Yankees?
Oh yeah.
Those younger teams, for whatever reason, with those prospects, they come up in the regular season and they're killing these pitchers. I'm talking about just home runs. Aaron Judge, first couple of years in the league, I mean, it seemed like he was going to be on some Barry Bonds type. Yeah, just another hit, Barry Bonds. Don't worry about it. So, with that being said, so
Hey, I got one more thing for the White
yes, sir.
Sox.
Yes, sir.
Uh, you were talking about how important hitting home runs is. They are also number one in the major leagues at not giving them up.
Man.
Yep.
That's
And
good. That's big time.
and see they're pitching very well. That goes along with the hitting. And again, this is no fans baseball. This is baseball in its purest form. You don't have any noise. You have no outside noise. You're just playing the game. That's all you're doing. And they show that they can play. Young guys showing that they can play. And the next team, we got more young guys showing they can play. And probably one of the best young players in the major leagues. You know.
Padres. Who got the Padres?
That would be me.
Go ahead,
Um,
Mr.
already touched them, man. Number 6 is the Padres. They're gonna go as Tatis goes. That's plain and simple. The firecracker in that team, and that's a hell of a firecracker to have. That's a easy in the normal season. That's an easy 30 for 30 guy. Easy, and he's one of the best, man. The only thing with the Padres that I do not like is their lineup is gonna have to outscore their pitching. Their pitching is not all that great. They have Davies as their ace, and I believe he's 4-2, if I'm not mistaken. And they're young, man. They're really young, but their pitching definitely needs to get better if they're gonna make any noise this year. I mean, yeah, they're top 6 right now. We're 30 games in. They could easily make the playoffs, but they can easily make the playoffs and be bounced in the first round.
They are also number two. They're number two on our list for actual slugging percentage, actually being a home run hitting baseball team.
Yep.
Do you see a lot of similarities between them and the White Sox when it comes down to them hitting the long ball, or do you think it's just based on basically the upper echelon of their bats? We'll say.
I don't. Their lineup isn't as balanced. It's more so the top of their lineup, 1 through 5. Um, I would say one through 4, maybe. I would say after that, you kind of get lost in the mix. The White Sox are much deeper. They're more balanced through the lineup. Let's say they're top. The Padres are top heavy. The White Sox have the whole lineup stacked.
Right.
Got you. So we'll go ahead. Let's pass it around the panel. Let's get everybody's. Let's get
Yeah,
everybody.
I was just gonna say, the Padres, they're similar to the White Sox in that aspect of they have young bats. Obviously Tatis, he's gonna be good for a very long time. Grisham, who the Brewers traded away, he's already hit 7 home runs this year. Obviously they have Hosmer, and the only thing I mean, Tatis is a great player, but in every sport, you can go as far as your great player takes you. But as we've seen in team sports throughout history of team sports, it's always that one guy that is supposed to be great, and needs to be great when the playoffs start. And for me, that's Manny Machado. If he's not playing great, I have no faith in this team whatsoever. Just because of the standpoint of they're gonna need that guy, they're gonna need that bat, they're gonna need him to get on base, they're gonna need him to hit doubles, they're gonna need him to slug. So it's the same thing with the Dodgers a few years ago. They needed Manny Machado much more than Manny Machado showed up in the postseason. If that guy showed up in the postseason, if that guy showed up in the postseason, we're probably not sitting here today talking about that was the year they played the Astros, right? Or was that the Red Sox year?
I think it was
I would say it was
Red Sox. I think it was
Red Sox.
Yeah.
Red Sox. Yeah.
But if he showed up in the playoffs, I mean, we might have a more. I still don't think they beat the Red Sox, but we have a more competitive series in the World Series, and it gives them a chance. And so that's the thing that I see with the Padres is yes, they have Tatis, he's showing up every night. Yes, they have Grisham, who's showing up every night. Yes, they have Hosmer, who can play great first base. And that infield, I mean, that's a great defensive infield. But can Manny Machado's bat show up every day? That's a big question for them.
That's where I think Tatis balances that out, because Tatis can set the table for Machado. Now,
right.
if
So
not
so
do
so
that,
what?
I think Machado's left out to dry.
And that's a good point. So what you're saying is that Tatis makes up for so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can't argue that one.
Yeah.
You got that one.
I mean, there's only really another starter that will go 30 for 30 in the top of the lineup, and that's Acuna and Dano.
Him. Yeah, that's it.
Him
and maybe Yelich if he's playing good, but that's it. Yeah, those three guys, and maybe in the whole MLB. I mean, whole MLB. But I know Ty is a little upset about that. So let's see what Ty has to say there.
Thank you, because y'all been like talking up the Padres, and I'll give the Padres credit for this. This is most important to point out. They lived up to the hype. A lot of analysts and journalists, baseball nuts, had the Padres really high this season to perform really, really well. So I'll give them credit that they lived up to the hype. But all you guys talked about right now with the Padres was the bats. The bats. So did we forget before they went crazy with these grand slams and these home runs and pulling off a huge winning streak, they lost 5 back-to-back straight. They were sorry. So with young teams that have a lot of potential and a lot of talent that do great things, consistency. Can they be consistent? I think they are legitimately a threat, a real deal, but let's call a spade a spade. Let's keep it 100. What about the pitching? It's not there.
That Ty, I'm gonna tell you something right now. That felt like it came from your heart, and that felt it felt like that's your rivals right there, and you don't want to give them any type of credit. I see what you're saying. They lost 5 in a row. The Dodgers lost 2 World Series. The Dodgers lost 2 World Series in a row. It's all right, Ty. You don't have to be sad no more. Ty. It's
I
okay,
gave a
Ty.
smidge.
Let it go.
Hey, Ty. You know what my little sister would say to you? Say, Ty, it's okay to be sad. That's what she
I'm petty. I'm sorry. I'm petty. Y'all know what it is.
Yo, that's good. This is good energy, y'all. So, are we finished with the Padres? Are we ready to go?
Let me give you this last numbers from the Padres. They're 15th in pitching, to what Ty was saying, 14th in batting, and 4th in OPS.
That batting and OPS is just so weird.
That's a big gap.
So that right there, I think in ways to explain it to regular people that don't understand these numbers too well, is when they do hit, they slug. That's what happens. When they do hit, they slug. They hit the home run.
They hit the home run.
I don't know, Storms, you want to add anything to that before we move on?
No, I think you guys pretty much covered it.
That was that. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the. Oh, go.
Sorry, Padres. I gave you a smidge. I'm proud of y'all.
So we'll go to number 5.
Yes, we got the Rays.
Yeah, we got the Rays, man. I'm going to give you a very interesting number I came across. So the Rays, their strong suit is their bullpen by far. It's not even close. You know, they in 28 games that they played so far, their starting pitcher has not gone into the sixth inning one time.
That's pretty
Not
damn impressive.
one time. That means that they're getting kicked out of the game, whether they give up runs, whether they put in their bullpen and they say, just shut the door. That's what they're doing. And in the short season, that'll work. Now, for the long run, in the long season, you can't be doing that. You're going to get a lot of tired arms in the pen.
And I think we see the Rays do that every year. I think it's something the Brewers I think those two teams, they do a lot. They don't pitch the starter very long because they feel like, man, we have a lot of strength in the bullpen. We can win games in the bullpen. But as Jorge pointed out, when some of your bullpen pitchers have more innings than your starting pitchers, when you get to the playoffs, I mean, like you said, in a 60-game season where you might only, at most, you're only playing 86 games this year. Does that correlate, or something like 86, 89, something like that?
Something like that.
Does that correlate 80 to 90 games? And that's something we've seen from the Rays too. Is we've seen them, play well in the middle of the season. We've seen them, play fantastic in the middle of the season these past couple of years. They have a lot of the same pieces, and I wonder if they can keep it going with a short rotation and going into the bullpen a lot. I know Josh. This is something that I want to hit on with Josh real quick. Do you think, Josh? This is just an interesting question I have. Do you think that could work? Because I know with Cincinnati, and I know we're going to touch on this a little bit later, they're pitching a lot of starting pitchers. So which do you think? I mean, that's a complete opposite thinking for a short season. Obviously, the Rays do this traditionally, but that's complete opposite thinking for a short season. What do you think works better in a short season, Josh?
In a short season, in a short season, it's all hands on deck, man.
Yeah.
Like I said before, we've said so many times that we're playing barely more than a third of a normal season. So, I mean, that's especially for a team that's struggling. Extra rest days are out the window when you're talking about your best players. That's what, you were talking about there, the Rays bullpen pitchers, some of them having more innings than their starter. Their best starting pitcher so far has been Blake Snell, and he has less than 24 innings pitched in 6 starts.
That
is other than how he's pitched generally in those innings, that is atrocious. It's unacceptable. You can't have that because you cannot win games if your starter is not going 5, 6, 7 innings.
That's 4 innings. That's 4 innings to start.
He's not even pitching half the game.
2, 3 pitches. And that's what goes back to what I was saying. To be a good, effective starter, you got to have 4 good pitches.
Okay, if you're go ahead, Jerm.
See, this is something interesting in general when we talk about pitching. And when we have issues with pitching, we either have, shortened season was the question. Let's just address that question and get the elephant out the room. I think in a shortened season, it's better that you do have a good bullpen than it would be in a longer season. Because the more tired your arms are on the pen, the more likely you're going to have some blown saves later in the year. So I think a shortened season helps the pen. But also, I think the shortened season helps the starting pitching, which is why we think, and why we talked about this extensively yesterday, I think this is going to be probably the best pitching that we may collectively be able to see in baseball history, because we don't have 180 games plus 3 playoff series plus. You see what I'm saying? Like, that is going to be something that we can say, because I'm gonna ask you guys this. This is a really, really, really interesting question that I've been really, really trying to find some lab itinerary pieces for this. But what do you guys think about when it comes down to just the pitching in general? What do you guys think is the biggest key, besides having 4 pitches, like Storm said, to being successful as a starting pitcher? Like, is it just pitches? Is it a mental edge? Because I used to think that Randy Johnson had a mental edge over people when he stepped there. The same with Pedro. They just had a mental edge over the batters.
40 feet tall.
Right. I think it's a combination. I mean, it just see this is we were talking about quarterbacks earlier. This is where it depends. It just depends on who the pitcher is, because we've got some power pitchers, you got some finesse pitchers. It's like any other sport. But I just think that, you know, you got a guy like Josh Hader, for example. The way he releases the ball, where he releases the ball, how his mechanics are. You want to swing at everything, but if you break down the tape and you break down the film, a lot of the pitches he's pitching are outside of the zone. And I was at a Dodgers-Brewers game last year, and I said that, like, man, this guy, it doesn't seem like he pitches any strikes. You know, it's just everybody swinging because they just think it's going to be a strike, and it's 97, 98 miles per hour. And the Dodgers sat back on his pitches. He walked a batter. He walked another batter. And then Hernandez came up, and I'm like, okay, this guy's going to eat a fastball up. And boom, home run. And I just think it just depends on the pitcher. There's some pitcher. Max Scherzer is a good example. That guy just goes out. He said, listen, they hit the ball, but I'm going to put it there for them to hit it. Let's see if they can. So I think when you go out and you attack like that, and you just have like, I'm going to kill them no matter what. If they hit it, they hit it. I don't care. And after Max Scherzer gives it a home run, what does Max Scherzer do? He pitches the same exact way. He doesn't change nothing.
See, so, and I touched this a little bit with, I think it was Ham and Trev. That kid that came up and pitched for the Indians, McKenzie, that gave him 6 innings. And I said this, he's not afraid to pitch inside. That's the key. Location. If you can pitch inside and outside, doesn't matter your stuff, doesn't matter how hard you throw, you have their eye level going up and down. Remember, you're looking at a square strike zone. It's from your belt to your knees. Mm-hmm. So if you can change their eye level and also go in and out on them, no matter how hard you throw, look at Glavine. Look at Maddox.
And those guys were low 90s, high 80s, very, very big on location. They used a lot of change-ups, sliders, things of that nature, try to off-speed stuff, and those type of things. I like I said, I asked this question because I see a lot of people think that just being able to have a lively arm means something, and that's only part of the game. Because just a theory, and then I'm going to pass it to Ty and Storms. I say it like this. I think arms are in tiers, right? You got your special stuff, which is 97 and up. You got your extremely good stuff, which is 97 till about 94. Mm-hmm. And then you got 93 is just regular pitch. 93 to about 88 is just regular pitcher stuff. I mean, what do you guys think of that? Do you think that's a terrible way to look at it, or?
No, you agree, and you touched a little bit on it earlier. If you have a good fastball, what good does it make if you don't have a good secondary pitch? Everybody's going to be sitting on your fastball because you can't look at the pitch.
And I want to pass it to Storms for this one because, again, this guy's been pitching incredible. But Trevor Bauer, how is he doing? Like, I haven't watched much of him, but how is he doing it this season? I know you've probably seen him. How is he doing it this season? What is his approach?
Oh, man. You know what I really want to see him do in the regular season that he did in preseason is tip his pitches in advance. But
wow.
Bauer has just been – it's kind of like you were talking about with Scherzer. He's just going out there. He's being himself. He's going after every hitter. He's throwing strikes, and he's, you know, like you said, he's challenging everybody, and he's throwing a lot of fastballs. I think I saw he's 5% more fastballs this year than any other year in his career. So that's all it is. Here it is. Come and get it. And
what I like about him to an extent, that worked for him for an extent in Cleveland, but it didn't work when it mattered. So that's all I can say.
One thing about Bauer people don't realize is he pays attention to details. He studies, his mechanics, and he uses, high-speed cameras. He's in the lab, and that overhead delivery. There's only one other pitcher that kind of stands out that had, that kind of same delivery he has, Tim Lincecum. And when Tim Lincecum was on, he was on. And that's just because I hate the Giants so much that I know that.
hey, that's a good point. And I think back to the question, and I hate to do this to you, Ty, but look at the difference between Kershaw in the regular season and the postseason. You got a guy, Kershaw, who goes and he attacks batters every at bat. He's attacking batters in the regular season. When you get to the postseason, you got a guy that doesn't look so confident in his stuff anymore.
I got a remedy for that after Ty goes. I got a remedy for that.
He gets timid, and you could see it.
Yeah.
He
tightens
really
up.
does.
He tightens up. So
you know what he does? If you notice his playoff games, he slows down his mechanics. His arm slows down to where they know the off-speed pitch is coming.
And I don't know if I'm the only one that noticed this, but he takes a lot of and asks the umps for a lot of breaks in a postseason. Like he's just not sure of what to do. It's just something there that just he doesn't know. He has no idea.
Play.
With Kershaw, he has to go low. If he doesn't go low, he's in trouble. So if he's not in the low strike zone by the knees, and it's tough for him. So he really likes to place the ball and locate it where he feels comfortable, and it's predictable. Even though his style is more of being deception and kind of crafty, he becomes predictable in that sense because he likes to go low.
And let me just say this: this is the key thing when it comes down to high level players and low level players. Then I got some questions from there, and then we're gonna segue into number 3 and 4. The thing about Kershaw that I noticed, the ball again does not come out the same way in the regular season and the postseason. He grips the ball tighter. He does all of the things. This dude is essentially like Drew Brees and Peyton Manning in the regular season, and then he turns around and turns into Drew Brees and Peyton Manning in the playoffs. He grips the ball tighter.
Yeah,
he grips the ball tighter. He's very. Bro. Again, we said this here yesterday. We do not want to face a left-handed pitcher when he is on his game. That is the hardest pitcher to hit. Like it's crazy. Some of Kershaw's stuff that you see when he's on in the regular season games, you'll be looking at this dude like, are you human?
Yeah, I mean,
like some of his pitches have so much movement to them.
That curve is deadly.
The location with the movement at the same time, it's you see a lot of people confused and a lot of people frozen. That if you freezing batters, that means you're doing something right. It just sticking true. Look, no pun intended. Stay true to the game. Stay true to what you do. You don't have to do anything extra. Keep doing what you've been doing. But he be like Taraji B. Henson and Hustle and Flow. Did I mess up? Bruh, get out of here. No, get him out of here. We ain't got no place for this here.
Next subject.
Hey,
Next subject.
So, real quick, we got a couple things from here. Mo actually asked, he said, is it almost like managing a long playoff series? But before we answer that question, Dennis said location. And he also brought up about the Rays that their third time through the lineup is where they have the worst. Their starting pitchers have the worst success the third time around against lineups that they're hitting against.
And this year is not the first year that they have that. This is going on like 3 years in a row to where the third time through the lineup, that's why they don't get deep in the games. That's why they don't have anybody going into the sixth.
Yo, now listen, I didn't even look at the comments, right? And Vic Jr., shouts out to my guy, the scout extraordinaire, views from the 22's up. He says that Kershaw is Drew Brees. So at the end of the day, it shows that we all looking at the same game.
Mm-hmm.
So, but location, this is such a full circle conversation for me because it just adds so much to how much meat and how much stuff goes into pitching and everything else. And I just think people got to understand how hard it is to be a pitcher in general. Like, this is why Kershaw, hey, bro, just relax. I ain't going to kill him too much further, Ty, because I see you over there getting all antsy.
I'm crying. On the inside.
Hey, so
I'm going to chill, though.
Hey, so the funniest part about this is Trav said Kershaw equals Tyrell fantasy pick equals Bron to be second place. Ouch. We gon' look. All right, look. We can't do no more petty stuff. I can't do this petty stuff with y'all.
He has
We
too
already
much time.
Yo, so with that being said, we're gonna go to 3 and 4. So Tyrell, we got the Twins at 4. Go ahead and take us away.
Gotta love the Twins. Last year they did great, playoffs, choked, but let's focus on 2020. Have a great young manager, Rocco Baldelli. Good squad. They're doing great things this season, and I like this spot for them. It's just, can they get over the hump in the playoffs? Because like I said, even though it was a different season last year, the Yankees rocked them in the ALDS, like runs after runs. Like one game you had 10 runs, followed up with 8 runs. So I think they're comfortable now. They settled into better pitching. They're still just an overall solid baseball team. It's just, can they catch that momentum with a second year manager who's really good, one of the youngest in the league, I think, right up there with Aaron Boone as far as being young managers. But I believe in them, and if they can just get hot, then they're all right. Nelson Cruz, the man. I don't know how he hit so well at this age. What, he's like 40, and he's killing it. 11 home runs
Can't
at his
defeat
age.
the eyes, baby. Can't defeat the eyes, baby.
And then you have Eddie Rosario, to supplement him. And even though they're not, like, let's say a power team, like a slugger, so they can definitely hit the long ball, but they drive in runs. They do that. So hats off, to the Twins. I'm expecting big things for them. And, let's see where it goes. I think they can make a run.
So let's pass it around the panel real quick. Let's come back. I'm gonna go down to Artie, up the Storm, back to Jorge. Artie, Twins. They are number 2 in our starter rotation list. Number 2. Why they're number 2? Let's just start right there. Why are they number 2 in the starting rotation for the pitching?
Per 9, they're giving up less than 3 a game. That's the biggest thing. Dobnak, he's pitching very well. I'm sure nobody saw that. He's got a 1.78 ERA. I mean, he's dominating on the mound. Everybody probably thought Berrios was going to be their best pitcher, and he's probably been their worst starting pitcher. So,
yeah,
with them being number 2 in our rankings for starting pitching, this is number 2 with their ace pitching not well. So if their ace picks it up, I mean, that's a lineup that, we obviously have Cincy at number 1, but we have Minnesota at 2, a team that is probably going to make the playoffs, a team that's probably going to contend for a title. If that ace can pick it up, you got something good there. I mean, Maeda came over from the Dodgers, and he's looked like, they took the Dodgers out of him. So he's pitching very well. Maeda is also pitching very well. You got 3 guys, 3 guys in that rotation. Really, they have a 3-man rotation, but you got 3 guys in that rotation, and those 3 guys that you can trust, to pitch well night in and night out. I mean, they've been, Berrios and Maeda, they've been in the league for years. I mean, they're young, or Berrios is young, but he's been in the league for a few years now. They're going to get it together, and Minnesota, like I said, that starting pitching has the potential to be more than dominant.
So, Storms, my question for you is, as Artie alluded to, they're giving up 3 every per 9 innings. 3 per 9 innings. Is 3 per 9 innings enough to make it intriguing in October, as they call it?
3 per 9 is 3 per 9 right now is good enough to maybe win a World Series if Berrios gets his shit together. I mean, like they were saying, Maeda's pitching great. I don't know who the hell Randy Dobnak is, but he's been awesome. They have so many different ways to beat you, and if they can get their ace pitching at ace level, they're going to be extremely tough to beat down the stretch. I think that's really all it's going to take for them to turn a corner, so to speak. I mean, they're playing well already, but as far as to take that next step and be someone that we can actually trust once we get to playoff time to say, yeah, this team can go all the way and win a title.
My
Jorge,
question
what
to
you
them
think?
before we get to Jorge though, because
Go
I
ahead.
want to bring this up with the bullpen. With the Twins, when it comes time to close, are you going to go Sergio Romo or are you going to go Taylor Rogers? Because looking at Rogers' numbers and how he's been doing it, he has a lot of saves, but he's had a lot of opportunities. But I think Romo has been a little bit better for him.
See, and Romo has, I mean, he's been a closer, but he's also been a setup man. So I think you kind of just, if I'm the manager of that team, I feel you're going with, you're just going with your gut feeling. I mean, Romo, he can also give you 2 innings. So, and like I said, he's been a setup man before with the Giants, and he was pretty good at that. So I really think it depends. And then that's another thing. If somebody falls in a slump, both of those guys can give you 2 innings. So whoever's pitching better at that time, it's just hard to tell because if you don't keep the lead in the 8th inning, you're not going to have it in the 9th. So it's kind of like, who are you going to use as that setup man? I trust Romo more. So, but if like again, if you don't have the lead after the 8th, you don't need Romo. So do you put Romo in the 8th and take your chances with Rogers in the 9th? It's tough, but I think it's just whoever's pitching better should be pitching that 8th inning. Just in my opinion, just because you need to have that lead in the 9th. At the 9th, if you lose it in the 9th, you lose it in the 9th. But if you lose it in the 8th, you don't have the 9th to lose it anymore. You have to keep the lead. And I just think whoever's pitching better at the time has to pitch that 8th. That's just me.
Jorge, let's see what you got.
Yeah, he has a good point to pick kind of go with what he's saying. You in this short season, you have to go with the hot hand. It doesn't matter who it is or who's pitching. You're not gonna, keep the lead in the 9th if you don't have it in the 8th. You have to go with the hot hand. So back to the starting rotation. It's kind of weird, the rotation, man. Barrios, he's so-called their ace, let's say, their young ace or their ace, but he hasn't pitched like it. Like what Storms is saying, Dobnak, he's been their ace since he got called up, man. He's pitched in 15 games. He has a 1.69 ERA, and he's 7-2. And he's not a strikeout pitcher. He's not going to strike out many people. He only has 16 strikeouts this year, but he's not going to get himself in trouble by walking people. He only has 7 walks, and that's in 30.1 innings, just to kind of give you an idea of what he's pitching. And I mean, to be honest, the biggest wild card in their starting rotation is Maeda. If he can be as dominant as he was, what was it, a couple of nights ago, where he took a no-hitter into the 9th inning against the Brewers? I think I'm correct there, against the Brewers. It's that rotation can be solid and take them deep into the playoffs because we know that lineup is gonna hit. Period. They led the league in home runs last year. They're gonna hit.
All right. So, with those things being said, moving forward, who is the number 3 team on the list?
Oh boy! So if Vic Jr. is still around, he's going to be excited. We finally show some love to the Yankees. Everybody loves, no hates the Yankees. But I got a feel for them. They have dealt with a lot this year as far as injuries. Like, can they stay healthy? For one, that's a huge portion as far as what's going to happen with them. But when they're on, they're on. Definitely one of the best, hitting teams that the league can offer as far as just straight hitting. And then they do have power to go along with that. So just a matter of like putting it all together and gaining momentum. Great management, with Aaron Boone. I really like him. Definitely have one of the best bullpens, I think, in the AL. But like I said, the key with them is can they stay healthy and figure it out? They could do, damage like they did last year in the ALDS against, a very good Twins team that was a 100-game, winning team. Swept them. So, like I said, when they're on, they're on. But I will say this for the Yankees. Vic Jr., you gotta hear me on this one. These Rays ain't playing with y'all. Y'all can't beat them. So I think the Rays, have only lost one game against the Yankees this season. So as much as I really am rooting for them, I know that the potential and talent they have, the Rays seem to kind of have their number. But other than, the A's, I honestly don't see, a stronger team than them.
Okay. Let's go around the panel, and then after that, we're gonna go to Storms for those final ones. So actually, let's start with Jorge. Yankees, Bronx Bombers. We have them listed as the second base team when it comes down to getting on base, which ironically is interesting, considering that they're on an on base percentage at about 344. But at the same time, with them having that on base percentage of 344, they're 89 points lower at just simply getting on base opposed to them hitting to get on base. So with that being said, what are some things that you're looking at for the Bronx Bombers as some things that you have for concerns for them to not be number one on the list besides injuries, as we've already stated?
Well, what I want to see from them is getting on base simply. They're gonna hit home runs. The ballpark they play in, they're gonna hit home runs. They need to simply get on base, get them over, get them in. Play more small ball. Yeah, their average right now is 255, like you said, and their on base percentage is 344. That's like pretty big gap right there. But I think they could do better as far as playing the small ball. I mean, they don't really need to because of the stadium they're in, but that's what I want to see from them. And as far as what their weaknesses are, I mean, let's be real. They're not going to throw Garrett Cole out there three days in a row in a series. Just not going to do it. Who's going to pitch after him? Yeah, they have a solid bullpen. Their bullpen can lock it down from the fifth on, but who's going to give you those first 4 innings? Aside from Cole. Cole can give you a complete game. We've seen it. He's hasn't lost a game in what, like 20 starts now or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. And he's gonna give you those innings, but who's gonna make up for the rest of the innings as a starter?
Artie, what you got for us on the Bronx Bombers?
No excuses. This is it. This is it. No excuses. It's the same thing that I feel about, Ty's team. It's no excuses this year. This is it. And yeah, you'll have another chance. There'll be baseball next year, but there's no excuse. This team is deep. This batting. This team has a good bullpen. You have a quality ace, and I know Jorge said you don't have anybody really after him, but when we're looking at the AL, who does? Who has more than one guy and in this top 10 from the AL? And if we're talking about maybe the Twins, Barrios pitches better and him and Dobnak, okay, but the Yankees ace is so much better than anybody else's ace. That's you better win that game when he pitches, and if you don't, I don't know what to tell you. You have to win that game. You have to. So there's just no. This year is it. If they don't do it this year, there's no excuses. There are no excuses. The Yankees, man, and that's another thing. Yeah, maybe the Rays, but even then, if you can't out pitch the Rays are a good pitching team, but if you can't out pitch the Rays and the way they do things, I mean, you have to do something. There's so much fear in that lineup. You got so much power, and that's to Ty's point. The Rays don't fear them, but there's so much to fear. If you can stay healthy, and even if you don't stay healthy, they're so deep that if they don't make it to the World Series, man, they should never be in the power rankings ever again. That's that would be legitimately disappointing from a team that spent so much money too. I mean, Garrett Cole is making Patrick Mahomes money. So, you know, these guys are making a lot of money. They spent probably the most money in baseball, if not, you know, second to the Dodgers. If you don't make it, I don't know what to tell you. I don't see a reason why they wouldn't. But, you know.
So in Vic's words, you're saying finish.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh.
Can they though? Can they?
That's the question. And to go with your question on who has an ace after the first pitcher, I'll get back to you on that.
So Storms, I'm gonna let you wrap up with the Bombers, and then we're gonna go right into number 2 and number 1 on the list.
I just like Jorge and Artie. My big thing on them is the starting pitching. Outside of Garrett Cole, they don't have a starter under a 4.6 ERA. I don't.
They be bombing in the Bronx.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else to say. I mean, they're a great team, but you got to fix that. That's it. That's all there is. You don't fix that, you're going to lose.
A Bronx tale.
There you go.
In this case, for Vic Jr.'s sake, it's not how they finish, but they really need to do something about how they start.
I'm sorry, I just had to throw that Bronx tale reference in it. That was perfect. I had to hit you with the change up.
So we got 2 hashtags for this team: start and finish.
Yeah, pretty much. No, seriously, that's how bad it is. That's really how bad it is at this stage for that team.
I mean, coming into the season, who's the one team that you think can run away from start to finish in a short season right after they acquired their ace? The Yankees. I mean, let's be real.
I mean, Severino went down, right? So I mean, that's actually a big loss. But you know, everybody. I mean, I don't know any person that I ever talked to baseball to that thought that the Yankees and the Dodgers aren't maybe the top 2 teams in the conversation. Those are it. But now we're in the top 2 teams of our list right now.
There you go.
I think we're going to Josh for that. Josh, number 2.
Sure. Number 2, we've got the Oakland A's. The A's are interesting because they don't hit particularly well, but yet they're number 2 on our list. To qualify that, they are 12th in runs scored per game, which isn't bad, but it's not great either. They are, where's it at? They're bottom 3rd in batting average. They hit the long ball well, but it's pitching that drives this team. We've got them ranked as our 2nd best bullpen. A big part of that is they are number 1 in baseball when it comes to saves. And that is just so important, being able to lock it. I mean, you see Liam Hendricks on the mound, and you might as well leave the stadium.
Okay.
They are second on our bullpen list, above the Indians.
Yeah. They don't have a great 3, 4, 5 in their starting rotation, but Bassett and Luzardo have gotten the job done, and the bullpen has really picked up the slack. And it's not often you get a team who doesn't hit particularly well in the top 5, but that's what we've got with the A's.
Hey, so real quick, shouts out to my guy Vic Jr. Just remember this: Rumble in the Bronx. With that being said,
I also want to throw in they're tied with the White Sox for only giving up 1 home run a game.
Oh, that's a good number.
That is a good number.
Now, with that being said, I guess the number 1 question is around the panel. Everybody, real quick in 30 seconds, give me the one. Do you trust the Oakland A's in a playoff series in October? Let's start with you, Artie, and then we'll go to Tyrell and we'll go to Jorge. Give me one answer, very simply. Do you trust the Oakland A's in October?
No.
Nah.
No,
and we've seen it in the past.
I want to, but nope.
So do I. I want them to beat the Yankees. in the series. But do I see it happening?
Oh, that's the backwards actually. There we go.
Yeah,
Batting
it-
practice.
actually.
If the A's are listening, batting practice. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
And Artie, to get back to that point, man, this is actually one team that can be deep in the starting rotation in the AL. They got 3 people. They got that young kid, Luzardo. They got this one kid that they're gonna call up. His name is AJ Puk. That's their best pitching prospect that's not called up yet. So it's interesting to see if they're gonna mix him in the rotation or if they're gonna put him in the pen. He's a big left-handed pitcher, and we've said it before. Left-handed pitcher. He can be a factor for him. So I want to see where they put him in, whether it's rotation or in the bullpen.
So, Storms, go ahead and break the internet. Number 1 team on the dish, Petty in the outfields, power rankings as of today.
Ooh, hey, one request before we do this. Can we just spend like a minute on this team, please? Just 1 minute. That's it. Just 1 minute. We don't need to spend too long. We don't need to do this too
To
long.
be honest with you, I'm gonna make this easy for y'all. I'm gonna give y'all. They are number 1 in bullpen. They are number 3 in starting rotation pitching. They're number 1 on our list simply because they hit the whole. Okay, slow down. See, this is why we can't have. Hey, look, we're gonna dodge Ty. That's what we're gonna dodge. Now listen,
I'm gonna be blocked.
but thank you, Blizzard. They're number 3 in slugging percentage and all those different things. This is the most interesting team in baseball. I just want to give that segue before Storm reveals who it is after Ty already did it. I'm just gonna be honest. If they don't win it, I just want just bombs over LA. Go ahead, Storm.
All right, so the thing about the Dodgers, they are, like Jerm said, they are top 3 basically in every important aspect of baseball. The only things they fall outside of the top 3 or top 5 really. They're number 8.
Mental toughness.
Huh?
Mental toughness.
Okay. Well, okay. So by the numbers,
Yo,
they're 8th in on base percentage, which isn't bad. They're 11th in batting average. But here's the big thing: the most important stat in baseball, number 1 in scored per game, and they score more than 1 run per game, higher than the average. They're also number 1 in home runs, isolated power, which is basically slugging without taking singles into consideration. It's bases per bat. Number 1 overall ERA, 3rd in OPS, 2nd in strikeouts per walk, 2nd in WHIP, number 1 in bullpen ERA, number 1 in starting ERA. They have everything. They will beat you anyway until October.
Stop blushing, Ty.
So listen, we're gonna go to Ty last. I'm gonna make him wait. Jorge, we're gonna go to you first. Dodgers. What's the issue?
I don't. It's not an issue, but it can be an issue. So put it this way: they have a solid bullpen. Their ERA is 1.82. They've pitched a lot of innings. A lot of innings.
You got a Bible. Oh no. Yo, I'm sorry, Jorge.
It's all good.
Yo, I quit.
Ty. Poor Ty. So to get back to what I was getting at is their bullpen has pitched 123 innings and they've played 270 innings in total as of right now. Now that's not bad, but it can be. I mean, it is a short season. You know, more bullpen action. Maybe what they're doing is they're saving their starters for the playoffs to go in the games. I can see that, and they legitimately can do it. I mean, who's their ace? Kershaw. But again, don't let the bets, that signing take you away from the point that they go as far as he takes them. That's about it.
Artie, go ahead, man. Just go, man.
I'll get it over with.
So I'm looking through this. I actually this is my notebook, but yeah, it looks like a Bible. I think we might need both for Ty, but I'm looking through this and yeah, we got them at first. They're first in pitching. They're third in base plus slugging. They're first in bullpen. They're third in starting pitching. They're first in this. They're third in that. They're all of that, and they're gonna lose. They're gonna lose. That's what's gonna happen. That's what's gonna happen. It just happens. It happens. It just happens. But in all seriousness, if I'm really gonna tell you how what I think, they're the best team in baseball. And in all seriousness, just to recap everything. Ty, I will send you one. We can bow our heads together. We can do it. But nothing is gonna help. Nothing is gonna help. This is the same thing with the Yankees, but this was a couple years ago with the Dodgers. There were no excuses. They added Mookie. Now there's really no excuses. If it doesn't happen, please buy Mookie out of his contract. Don't let that man suffer for 10 years.
Whoa.
Don't let him do it. Don't let him suffer. But Ty, I promise you, it'll be all right. It'll be all right. Everything, it'll be
Y'all
okay.
some real wise guys.
Hey,
We got life to live. We have life to live. It's okay. I'll let Ty go.
Go ahead, Ty. We're gonna let
Can I
you wrap up about the Dodgers.
Oh,
And
here
then
we
we're
go.
gonna talk about one of the GOATs.
Can I talk my piece?
Yes, you can.
So-
Go ahead.
Yes, we are the best team in baseball right now. And what's scary, because nobody talked about it really, or is talking about it. Cody Bellinger got off to a horrible start. Now he's heating up. He's heating up. So you have Mookie, who's giving us an MVP season. You have Corey Seager's doing his thing. You have Turner still being consistent. I mean, this team is poised to make it happen. But I'm gonna try to calm down. I'm gonna relax. I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna cool out because we are the Buffalo Bills of Major League Baseball. No lie. All this talent, and we just got to bring home the one crown that matters. I mean, I was happy to get pennants. I don't want any more pennants. I want a World Series in my lifetime. And I hope it happens. I think, there's no other team in the National League that can, hang with us. There's just, we're too heavy. And just across the board, solid and getting better. So I just need, Reyes to, do what he's doing, not, flip out. I need Walker Buehler to figure it out. He's great, but he needs to figure it out. And Kershaw, please, so Trav does not.
You heard that was straight from the chest. He said,
Please. For the life of me, so that Trav can leave me alone, so that he doesn't have time.
No.
Just rewrite the book.
Oh man.
Oh, man.
He put
He almost cried.
Yeah, he did.
That man hit the please tell me your.
I can't defend that man. I can't defend that man in the postseason. In the postseason.
And you know what? You did. And so that got you.
Hey, he put an H on his please. He put an H on his please.
Man,
man.
rewrite the narrative, man. Rewrite it. I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for him that he rewrites the narrative. I hope he pitches, a no, maybe pitch a perfect game, and shut everybody up. But it's probably not gonna happen. But
You,
I
bet, you
mean,
better, you better, you better send him Bible verses in his DMs every day. That man,
It's a
some
he's gonna
picture
need
right
something.
now. It's a picture right now that got 12 Ks through 4 innings.
Damn, who's that?
Who's that?
Who's
Lucas
up?
Gay. What is it? Lucas
Oh, Giolito,
Giolito.
Giolito, the White
White
Sox.
Sox, White Sox.
White
Yeah,
Sox,
he
yeah.
got 12 Ks through 4 innings right now. As we
Okay.
Against who are they playing?
speak. Good question. Hey,
It's the Twins. They're playing the Twins.
That's, oh yeah, that's
I think.
was that the Twins game?
no, the Twins are playing the Indians. Remember?
Yeah, they're
Oh
playing
yeah,
the
yeah,
Indians.
yeah.
Yeah,
Right, I'm sorry.
If we
They
can
are-
figure
they are
out who they're
clean.
playing before we get off here, we got y'all. But with that being said, man, we got to give some big ups to before we end up closing out the show here, fellas. So we got our order right here, the top 10. We going 1 to 10. We got the Dodgers, the Oakland A's, the New York Yankees, the Minnesota Twins, the Tampa Bay Rays, the San Diego Padres, the Chicago White Sox, the Atlanta Braves, the Chicago Cubs, and the Cleveland Indians. Honorable mention are the Astros, but they can't seem to get past 500 teams, so that's why they are honorable mention. Top 3 starting rotations, we got the Cincinnati Reds, the Minnesota Twins, and the LA Dodgers. The top 3 bullpens in baseball right now, as we have them, are the Dodgers, the A's, and the Indians. The top 3 teams when it comes down to hitting that long ball, we got the White Sox at 1, Padres at 2, Dodgers at 3. And the top 3 teams are just getting on base. We got the Mets, the Yankees, and the Cubs, with an honorable mention for the Tampa Bay Rays at number 4. So with those things all being said, I just want to pass some condolences off to my guy, one of the GOATs of hitting, Mr. Albert Pujols himself. He currently
Machine.
he just number 2 all time when it comes down to hitting the baseball.
Yeah.
All time, man, dude. That means a lot. So I'm gonna go around the panel as we get ready to close and wrap up the show, and I'm gonna let everybody say a 30-second piece about Mr. Albert Pujols. And let's start with you, Jorge, because I feel like you might have something interesting to say.
Before we get that started, Giolito actually has a no-hitter going into the 9th against the Pirates right now.
Oh, that's not impressive. The Pirates?
Well, it's still a no-hitter. So, about Pujols, you got to give him his props, man. Number 2 all time, and runs batted in. That's a huge accomplishment, man. This game has been played over hundred years, man. And to be number 2, he doesn't get the respect that he deserves. Honestly, a lot of people forget about him. A lot of people.
Forms, what you got for him?
100%. The man is underrated anymore, which is crazy to think about when you think about how big dude's name was 7, 8, 9 years ago. But he's had an amazing career. Being a Reds fan, I watched a lot of his early career with the Cardinals. He's other than Junior, he's the best hitter I've ever seen.
Tyrell.
The machine, plain and simple, one of the most consistent hitters, one of the most consistent swings. Like, it looks the same over the span of a lifetime. How does one do that? You just that's God-given talent right there. You just have it, and you're just blessed. I definitely don't feel that he's been given all the flowers he deserves, especially ever since leaving the Cardinals and then going to the Halos. But that shouldn't matter. First ballot Hall of Famer right off the bat. I don't know if he would ever get unanimous, but he'd be up there, and I'd be okay with it. Just everything that you want about a pure hitter, raw power, get you a run batted in, whatever you want. It's like if you're a manager and you say, Albert, I need this. He's like, I got you, and I'll get it for you. So he gave a lot to the game, and I would just love for everybody to just give him the love that he deserves back. Simple as that.
And Artie.
Yeah, I mean they summed it up well. just for reference for anybody, I think Albert was in the league maybe before I was even born. So that man has been in there my whole life. Growing up watching baseball, I've obviously seen Albert a lot. I've seen him play live multiple times. This guy has crushed my heart a couple times. But th- all that aside, he deserves his due. Second in RBIs all time. I mean, like Jorge said, over 100 years this game has been played, and he's number 2 out of thousands of players. In a list, if you're number 2 in anything, and over thousands of players, and millions of people have tried to make it to this level, I mean, that's enough said. That's Albert is he's one of the goats. That's for sure.
Mm.
Absolutely. So with that being said, this is the first edition of the Dish. We got Artie, we got Tyrell, we got Jorge, we got my guy, Category 5, Mr. Storms. Look, at the end of the day, man, this is the scene, THESCEN, and it's on and popping, man. We're gonna be doing this. Our next show here for the Dish will be the trade deadline show, so you guys stay tuned for that. And we're gonna really break down some pieces that teams need to get better. We're gonna talk about some things, and then the top 10 ultimately is subject to change, as we all say, because there are a couple teams that are a couple pieces away, and this trade deadline could provide some teams with some pieces, and it could also take away from some of these teams we have on the top 10. So with that being said, you guys, us here at the Scene in the Dish, we want to give you guys a salute. Thanks for stopping in. We'll see you next time.